Hi, I'm going to show you some of the basic tools for using your Mimio so that you can begin using it in your daily classroom lessons. First of all, when you turn on your Mac, you'll see your desktop. You'll notice the dock at the bottom of your screen. You should see a little tablet and it's labeled Notebook. That is your Mimio. You can either click on that or you can go to the top of your desktop and you'll find a little notebook with a red pen in front of it. That is also your Mimio. If you click on that, a drop-down menu will show up, and the very first option is Mimio Notebook. Select that. This opens Mimio Studio. Within this white square, you can type or write anything so that it will be displayed on your whiteboard to your class. Also notice that on the left-hand side, you have what is called your Mimio Toolbox. This is where you can select your pen, eraser, various shapes, and text boxes. For now, let's learn how to use the pen and how to erase what we write. This is the pen tool. All I need to do to use it is select it. When I do so, you'll notice that colored boxes appear. This large box tells me that I'm using blue ink. I can change that color by selecting either the green, the red, or the black that they have already present for me to select from. Or if I want more options, I can go down to this little icon of a paint palette and a crayon box of colors will pop up and you can select various other shades that aren't already given to you on your toolbox. So let's say I want to use this purple color. It shows up here. I say yes, okay, that's the color I want, and now I can use purple ink. I can change the width of my pen stroke by sliding this bar clear to the left for a very narrow, thin stroke, or I can move it all the way over to the right for a very thick pen mark. I prefer to use it somewhere in the middle, which would look like this. You can also erase what you do very easily. You can either erase very selectively or erase everything at once. To erase selectively, you want your eraser tool, which is located right underneath the pen tool on your Mimio toolbox. I click it, and I can also determine how much space I can erase at one time. If I move this slider to the right, it works just like the pen width indicator. I can erase a very small amount at one time, which this is a very narrow selector, or I can go all the way to the right and it will erase large amounts at one time, or I can move it somewhere in the middle and erase one stroke at a time. If I want to erase everything at once, I simply go to the top of my Mimio, I click Edit, I tell it to select everything on the page that I have written, and then I select this red X, which means to delete. If you think, oh, I should not have deleted everything, move over to the right to the undo icon. That is this large blue arrow. I click it, and what I just previously erased will come back. If I click the undo arrow again, what I erased before that will come back. You can select the undo button as many times as you wish to get back everything that you have written before you started to erase. And this shows everything that I have. Let's go ahead and select everything and get rid of everything by hitting the delete button. The next thing I want you to learn how to do is to move back and forth between pages. Right now I have a completely blank screen because I've just erased everything that I've used before. Let's say that I want to show the students the difference between 4 plus 2, 4 times 2, and 4 squared. So on the first screen, I would write 4 plus 2 equals 6. but I want to show a brand new screen. To do that, I go up to the toolbar on the top, and the white page with the little the little green dot is a new page. Simply click it and I have a fresh sheet. Also notice that this blue arrow just lit up when I did that. If I click that left arrow, it will take me back to the previous page. Because I selected a new page, I have a second page, and if I click the right arrow, it takes me to that new page I just created. Now I'll write 4 times 2 equals 8. And I have, if I go back with this arrow, I have 4 plus 2. I go forward, just like turning a page in a book. I have 4 times 2. I want to create one more blank page, so I'll use my select a new page icon, and I have a blank page again. And this time I'm going to write 4 squared, which equals 16. Now I have 3 pages in my document. I go back 4 times 2, hit the previous page arrow again, and I'm back to my original page. I can go forward and find the second page. 4 times 2 equals 8. Hit the next page icon again. I'm at the final page of my document. 4 squared equals 16. That's how you use the the backward and the forward arrows to move between pages. And I can get a new page by selecting the new page icon. Now I'm back to my beginning. The next thing I want to show you is how to create text boxes on the Mimio. I'm going to start with a fresh sheet. To create a text box, you move over to your toolbox and you select the capital T, which is for text box. When I do so, I have a different kind of cursor. When I click and drag, I have a box. You notice I have font choices, the font size. I can bold, I can italicize, I can underline, I can have my text start typing from the left, I can center it, or justify right. Let's see. Let's try Arial Black, and I want to increase the size to 28, and I can select the color. Let's try blue, and I'll start typing within the text box. If I click outside of that, I still have the text box selected, and another text box can be created. Notice that my original default settings are in place, Arial 18, justified left, and I simply have black text. If I want to change the text, I highlight it just like I would in a Microsoft Word document. Click the color. Let's make this one magenta. Excuse me. Okay. When I click back inside of it, it is magenta. I can also highlight it, change the font size, the font and the size to 22, and it responds. Every time I click outside of my text box, a new text box will appear for me to begin. If you're finished with the text box, simply click the little red button and it disappears. Deselect the text box by clicking on a pen, and your text box disappears, and you can go back to writing if you prefer. I don't, so I'm going to erase that using my erasing tool. Now, one of the neat things about text boxes is that you can move them. If I select it, I can move it over here, down here. I can select another one. If I click and move the green button, it will tilt my text box. One way that you could use text boxes in the classroom is during word study. If this were a text box that gave you a category for a word sort, you could put your categories here, have a bunch of separate text boxes for your words, and students could then move the word underneath the category that you want them to sort them into. So that's how we use text boxes in our Mimio. The last thing I want to show you is how to save and retrieve files that you create so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel again. Go up to File, and let's use the Save As feature. And a drop-down menu shows up where you can title your file. I'll entitle this Mimio Basics, and I will go ahead and save it to my desktop. Click Save. I already have a Mimio Basics file created, but I'm going to say to replace it. And then to retrieve that, if I exit out of my Mimio, here is, since I told it to save to my desktop, it is here. I click on it, it opens, and I'm back to where I started from. If I want to go through my pages, I find my text boxes. This was my math work that I was using. And I'm back to a blank page. I can go back to the beginning as well. I hope you've enjoyed using the Mimio Basics. If you have any questions, you know where my room is. Bye-bye.